Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. An Azerbaijani airliner has crashed in Kazakhstan, killing 38. Bound for the Russian city of Grozny, Chechnya, after reporting unspecified problems on board, the passenger plane has then made a desperate run for the airport in Aktau, Kazakhstan, before plummeting to the ground. Thing is, Aktau is nowhere near Grozny, the flight's destination, or Baku, the place where the flight originated from. In fact, it is on the opposite shore of the Caspian Sea. Chilling reports are now coming in suggesting that the airliner was hit by a Russian air defense, banned from landing anywhere close to Grozny, and forced to take the perilous journey to Kazakhstan, all the while constantly being jammed by Russian electronic warfare systems on the ground. So, is this the MH17 situation all over again? And what repercussions is this tragedy likely to have? Our guest today is Rusif Huseynov, director at the Topchubashov Center. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So let's get this out of the way. Do you think this might have been anything else but the result of the activity of the Russians, specifically a surface-to-air missile targeting drones attacking the targets in Grozny and accidentally shredding the aircraft with shrapnel?
Yeah, although we are yet to learn the final outcome of the investigation, especially once the black box records are revealed, preliminary investigation confirms what you just said. And this was earlier allegations that the Azerbaijani aircraft was targeted by a Russian missile over Grozny, Chechnya. Perhaps it was not intentional, as this same airspace was allegedly attacked by the Ukrainian drones almost at the same time.
If I may interrupt you, we actually can see in the background, we can see footage from social media showing the damage done to the fuselage. Yeah. The Russians said initially the accident was the result of basically the aircraft being hit by birds. Have you ever seen any kind of birds capable of inflicting this kind of damage to an overflying aircraft?
Once these video footages became viral all over the internet, of course, many people also raise these questions. It's not about the birds, it's something different. And you know what is the worst and most unimaginable part of this whole story? You earlier mentioned part of it. Having seriously damaged the plane, the Russians still denied a landing at any airports nearby, jammed the GPS system and pushed eastward. Maybe, this is some speculation, maybe hoping it would fall onto the Caspian Sea, taking down all the information about the wreck. However, the pilots heroically made it to Kazakhstan, but could not manage the proper landing because by that time controlling the flying machine had been almost impossible.
So this, once again, is even more shocking, right? It seems like Russia is behaving like one of those incompetent murderers in a TV series like Fargo, committing a crime, not knowing what to do, and then clumsily trying to erase the evidence. Do you think that this is what could have happened? If so, it shows that Russia is either prepared for accidents of this kind, or that it was able to make these decisions very quickly indeed, and the decisions in question, well, are, as you said, quite terrifying. Basically just, trying to cover up a crime.
Unfortunately, this is not the first case when the Russians shoot down a civilian aircraft. Their infamous record list includes such notable incidents as the downing of 2 South Korean planes back in 1978 and 1983, respectively. Or my generation, we may not recall those incidents. However, we still remember, and this memory is still fresh. It was not a long time ago, just 10 years back. The downing of the Boeing belonging to the Malaysian Airlines. No punishment, no apology in that case. Thus, we are yet to see if the Russians continue the same pattern with us, the Azerbaijani side, this time.
I'm glad that you actually mentioned MH17. Back then, the Russians were also making up some really imaginative stories. Like Igor Girkin, the Russian warlord in occupied Ukraine at the time, said that the victims on board were already dead. He actually lifted that story from the Sherlock television series that many people have pointed out shortly after he said that. So this is just insane. But actually, when it comes to Azerbaijan and Russia, do you think the relations between the two countries are going to be detrimentally affected by this?
As you might know, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev was on his way to St. Petersburg to participate in the ongoing CIS summit. However, upon hearing about the crash, he made a U-turn and came back to Baku immediately. How the relations between Baku and Moscow will develop from now on will be up to the official reaction by the Russian side, who at this moment is still silent and is not rushing to assume any responsibility. There are actually multiple questions as people try to understand whether it was the responsibility of the Chechen authorities based in Grozny. If this is the case, the Azerbaijani side and the international community would still expect some sort of apology and the punishment of the perpetrators. It's up to the Kremlin to punish anyone who was responsible, whether based in Chechnya or elsewhere.
So we actually didn't have, like you said, any comments from the Azerbaijani officials, but there was one Azerbaijani lawmaker, Mr. Rasim Muzabekov, who told the Azerbaijani news agency Turan that the plane was fired on while in the skies of Grozny. He urged Russia to offer an official apology. He said, and I quote, "Those who did this must face criminal charges." Do you think that this is likely to happen? I mean, Azerbaijan wants to have good relations with its neighbors. It is in a peculiar position, right? Because it cannot simply say, okay, we just ignore Russia. But do you think it may actually slightly change its opinion of the Russian regime now that there are actual victims? I mean, 38 people dead, many more injured.
Yeah. Well, in fact, those international outlets, Euronews, Reuters, multiple of them. All of them actually leaked the information allegedly obtained from the Azerbaijani officials, who could not make a very formal statement, but still passed this information to world media outlets. Yes, this definitely will worsen the relations between Baku and Moscow. And again, people here, I mean, both average citizens and political establishment, they are expecting some sort of reaction from the Kremlin, assuming this responsibility, sharing all the information to conduct a more transparent investigation, punish those who were responsible, and of course provide compensation.
And I'm assuming that this is all over the news in Azerbaijan, right? Also in countries like Turkey, for example, because in the West, unfortunately, this tragedy might have been overlooked by some people who went on holidays during Christmas. But this is not the case for predominantly Muslim countries. So would you say that there is an outrage? How do people actually react upon hearing upon this? And as I said, it was not like, you know, we have a holiday season. It is not actually affecting the news cycle to that extent in Azerbaijan and neighboring countries.
No, I mean, this tragic event has devastated the entire nation in Azerbaijan. All people, the entire society, media, everyone is right now covering and dealing with this very specific topic, because it's about our plane, it's about the people who passed away and or got seriously injured, and most of them were Azerbaijani citizens. This is why yesterday was announced a mourning day during which national flags were lowered and many New Year events were cancelled nationwide. And these mourning will continue to some extent, because we will receive the corpse and the funeral ceremony, some sort of other rituals. They will remain as a spotlight for the entire society for some time.
And would you say, in a more general sense, that it would be in the interest of Azerbaijan to tighten its ties with the West? I mean, if you look at the map and you look at the energy sector, for example, the possibilities offered by the transit of resources from Central Asia to the West, Azerbaijan could have a major role to play there.
Certainly. Azerbaijan's geopolitical location makes it a natural bridge between East and the West. And especially when we look at other alternative routes, which are Russia and Iran, and they are both under the heavy sanctions, Azerbaijan or South Caucasus remains as a natural bridge, as a connectivity hub, which provides a lot of connectivity and logistics projects to both Central Asia and Europe. However, as we say here in Azerbaijan, geography is a destiny. We are neighboring Russia. We cannot escape from these geographical and geopolitical realities. Sometimes we feel how it is hard to exist next to the Russian bed.
Do you think that Turkey could also have a role to play? I mean, Turkey proved to be very assertive when it comes to any sort of confrontations with Russia, actually shooting down a Russian fighter jet a while ago. So do you think that perhaps this alliance, which has been working very well for Azerbaijan so far, could prove to be this sort of bulwark against any sort of adventurism or unfriendly actions on the part of Russia?
On the one hand, you are right. Azerbaijan and Turkey are allied, and for many years, if not decades, Turkey has been our major security umbrella through which we managed to counterbalance both Russia and Iran. On the other hand, I don't think the Russian side would be able to afford losing Azerbaijan because of this incident. Therefore, I genuinely expect that the Kremlin side would do all their best in order to somehow compensate, to make up these loss in order not to lose Azerbaijan, because they don't have too many friends or allies or even neutral countries. They can't afford a luxury to make new adversaries or hostile countries in the region anymore.
So whatever happens, the tragedy of the crew and the passengers of this airliner is going to stay with us for quite a while. We should at this stage also recognize the heroic efforts of the pilots who have effectively sacrificed their lives to save those people. A tremendous achievement there. Rusif Huseynov was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
And I'm Jonasz Rewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.